Disoriented in a dingy cell, a young man jolts awake. Utterly clueless about his location and predicament, he scrambles to his feet and scans the barren walls for an escape route. Disappointment stings. A cramped toilet and a shower are his only companions. But hey, at least that's a luxury most wouldn't have. A glowing computer screen demands share. He types frantically, desperate commands rendered useless by the unyielding system. It repeats its directive, share. This time, with a flicker of hope, he complies. The machine springs to life, recording his every move. He bombards the unseen audience with questions, met only by deafening silence. Nature calls, but frustration mounts as the toilet remains stubbornly dry, the sink mirroring its dysfunction. In a fit of defiance, he types water, to which the screen coldly replies =5. Bewildered, he collapses onto the floor, resignation settling in. An involuntary toot, a comedic accident, earns him points, enough to buy a precious bottle of water, quenching his burning thirst. Washing his face, a horrifying realization dawns. This is a twisted spectacle, broadcasted for the amusement of voyeurs who find amusement in bodily functions. Fury boils over. He stages a performance, a ridiculous display of flatulence and exaggerated movements, but the points are insufficient for a proper meal. Desperate, he throws random commands at the unfeeling machine, plunging the cell into darkness before surrendering to sleep. A piercing beep shatters the silence. Share commands the screen yet again. He explodes in a tirade, venting his frustration at the absurdity of his situation. The rant, surprisingly, earns him points. He reverts to his buffoonery, his efforts rewarded with a meager offering, a bowl of dog food, a dubious culinary delight. Disgusted, he attempts to reject the unwanted meal, but his pleas are lost in the void. Forced into a desperate situation, the man reluctantly digs into the meager food and even resorts to dog-like tricks for the viewer's amusement. These humiliating antics score him a few additional points, but it's a far cry from enough to purchase decent clothes. His initial reward is a woman's undergarment, but with a touch of defiance, he uses it for a makeshift fashion show on screen. After hours of this degrading performance, the man crumbles, tears streaming down his face, and retreats to a restless sleep. The next day, he steels himself and throws himself back into entertaining the audience. He shows off gymnastic feats, goofy dances, and shares his unfiltered thoughts. Slowly, the points accumulate, allowing him to purchase a t-shirt, a mattress, and a mirror to see his reflection. As time crawls by, the points steadily climb, granting him access to more clothes, shaving supplies, better food, and even some alcohol. However, one night, fueled by excessive drinking, he smashes the monitor with an empty bottle, plunging his world into darkness. Driven by a desperate hope for escape, the man tears at the monitor and investigates the food hatch, finding no way out. In a moment of blind fury, he punches the monitor, only to injure his own hand. Overcome with a nervous breakdown, he begs for his release. Utterly drained, he apologizes to the computer for his outburst, pleading for a second chance. With despair hanging heavy in the air, the man collapses onto the floor, resigned to his fate. Then, a flicker of light. The computer reboots, revealing an elderly gentleman on the screen. It turns out, the old man is another inhabitant of the same system, but with a life far more comfortable than our protagonists. The man reveals occasional malfunctions, but upon reaching a certain level, prisoners gain access to a shared network. This allows our protagonist to finally connect with others like him. Initially suspicious, he believes the old man works for their captors. However, the old man assures him they all woke up there with no memory of arrival, though they all suspect a twisted prank by that jerk, Dobrik. The old man, as the conversations flow, proves to be a chatterbox, flitting between topics impulsively. These endless ramblings are his secret to earning points, much to our protagonist's annoyance. One night, awakened by a cough, our protagonist checks on the old man's health at the computer. He also experiments with random commands, stumbling upon other prisoners, each with unique channel numbers. His channel is 14, the old man 73. This virtual world offers a surprising variety of content, from cooking classes to makeup tutorials. Our protagonist finds himself captivated by a beautiful woman, initially thought to be teaching English, but actually leading yoga sessions. As days progress, 14 and 73 spend most of their time together, chatting, sharing meals, and even learning magic tricks. At night, while the old man sleeps, 14 connects with the yoga instructor, sending her some virtual donations. One morning, engrossed in building new furniture, 14 encounters 73 approaching for a chat. The old man preaches constant reinvention. He believes viewers get bored and stop donating if prisoners like them become predictable. Variety is the spice of life, he bellows, pushing for content diversification. 14, however, remains unconvinced. He argues that focusing on a specific niche is the key to building a loyal audience. Taking a leap of faith on the old man's advice, 14 dives into a genre-bending frenzy. Stand-up comedy, fitness routines, culinary experiments, complete with singing utensils? Anything goes? This unexpected variety show attracts a new wave of viewers, inflating his points. He decides to use this newfound wealth for a good cause, buying medicine for the constantly coughing 73. However, a misplaced tap during the purchase throws him into Channel 11, a woman's room. To his horror, she's in the shower. Needless to say, she's livid about this unwelcome intrusion. Her outraged shouts accuse him of being a kidnapper. 14 frantically explains their situation, desperately trying to convince her he's a fellow prisoner, not some creepy stalker. As if things couldn't get more awkward, 73 joins the conversation. 11, seizing the moment, inquires if they've attempted escape. 14 recounts his earlier incident, which earned him the unfortunate nickname Peeping Tom in the virtual world. The woman urges them to analyze every detail, every vulnerability in the system. But the grumpy 73 dismisses her as patronizing and abruptly exits the conversation. Left alone with 11, 14 contemplates the reason for their imprisonment. Why pick random strangers and provide them with housing and food? It defies logic. 14 admits he wasn't important before, but here in this bizarre digital prison, he feels like he matters for the first time. The sock puppet show was a smash hit. 14, channeling his inner puppeteer, or perhaps a deranged Jim Henson, had the viewers rolling in the virtual aisles. The audience, it seemed, finally appreciated his brand of chaotic creativity. He even received a message praising his full Mel Gibson moment, which left him thoroughly confused. One morning, in a misguided attempt at chivalry, 14 gifted 11 a shower curtain. This backfired spectacularly. She wasn't interested in pity, just a way out. The following days saw 14 leading hilariously inept drawing lessons. His own artistic skills were questionable at best, but the unintentional humor was a goldmine. His point count soared, allowing him to upgrade his virtual furniture. 11, however, was reaching a breaking point. She proposed a revolution, a suggestion met with fierce resistance from 14 and 73. They, unlike her, believed this strange digital prison offered a better life than their previous reality. One night, the old man's coughing escalated into a terrifying seizure. His body went rigid, his face pressed against the monitor in a silent scream. Adrenaline surged through 14. He pleaded with their unseen audience for help, while 11 frantically searched the computer for a solution. A desperate keystroke triggered a catastrophic glitch. Flames erupted from the walls, engulfing 73 and his room in an inferno. The screen flickered and died, leaving 14 and 11 in a stunned silence. Grief settled over them like a thick fog for days. Finally, a new morning arrived, tinged with the weight of loss. 14 broke the silence, offering 11 words of comfort. "It wasn't your fault," he said gently. "You were just trying to help." His fire comment, clearly intended as a compliment, fell flat in the wake of tragedy. Hoping to lift her spirits, 14 launched into another puppet show. Midway through the silliness, 11 surprised him with a yearning for a drink. Both craved a taste of their lost freedom. In a rare act of defiance, they ordered virtual alcohol and toasted their pre-captivity lives. As the drinks kicked in, inhibitions loosened. They danced without music, a clumsy expression of a forgotten joy. Fueled by intoxication and a newfound connection, their evening took an unexpected turn. Needless to say, their actions generated a surge in points, a cruel reminder of their confinement. The next day, a newfound resolve flickered in 14's eyes. He embraced 11's earlier proposal. All the prisoners needed to unite and expose a chink in the system's armor. After all, the old man's demise was proof of glitches. He addressed his audience directly, detailing the system's quirks, the phantom commands that occasionally surfaced. Perhaps, he argued, these glitches could be manipulated, used to breach the digital prison's walls. His message resonated. Soon after, a message arrived from yoga instructor 28, impressed by his speech. Their conversation was brief, ending with 28 logging off for the night. Emboldened, 14 and 11 began scouring other channels. A wave of relief washed over them. Several prisoners were on board, actively searching for vulnerabilities. The scene then shifts. Yoga instructor 28 kicks off her session, her voice reaching 14 through the virtual space. She acknowledges his surge in popularity, crediting his ability to make people smile. A valuable asset, she conceded, though perhaps not as valuable as my backside during tree pose. A hint of amusement colored her voice. As their conversation flowed, the yoga instructor extended an invitation to join her session, an offer 14 readily accepted. Just as they were about to begin, however, 11 barged in, urging them to focus on the task at hand rather than idle chatter. Over the next few days, 11 became the tireless researcher, meticulously combing through other channels for clues. Her diligence unearthed a treasure trove of secrets, manipulating the ventilation system, even shifting the very walls. These discoveries revealed a crucial detail. The rooms existed at varying distances. This sparked an idea, a map of their entire digital prison, meticulously crafted and then destroyed? She presented her plan to 14, but his initial enthusiasm seemed dimmed. Perhaps the conversation with 28 had planted a seed. the idea that happiness, even within this strange reality, held some value. There are people who find comfort here, he argued, hesitant to shatter their fragile sense of normalcy. Undeterred, 11 defiantly chopped off a section of her hair, a symbolic act of rebellion. That night, as 28 launched into her usual yoga routine, it grated on 11's already frayed nerves. She lashed out, accusing the instructor of inconsiderate late-night broadcasts that disrupted sleep schedules. A heated exchange erupted, with 28 accusing 11 of manipulating the other prisoners. 14, drawn in by the commotion, intervened to separate the two. In that moment, his perspective shifted. He began to see the logic in 11's approach. Taking a decisive step, he went live, addressing all the other prisoners. His request was simple: send him a single point. An unexpected glitch occurred, and his points began an exponential climb. The yoga instructor's fury boiled over, spitting accusations of theft at 14. The argument spiraled out of control, culminating at 11 conjuring a downpour within 28's room. In a vengeful counterattack, the instructor unleashed a hidden command, bathing 11's room in an oppressive heat. Flames erupted, engulfing 11 just like 73 before her, and the screen sputtered to black. Witnessing this horrific scene, 14 crumpled to his knees, his body racked with uncontrollable sobs. But then, in a twist of fate, the impossible materialized. A doorway solidified behind him, bathed in the golden light of a brilliant sun-drenched day. Stunned disbelief etched across his face, he stumbled towards the door, his hand hesitantly reaching out. A solitary beep from the monitor jolted him back to reality. He whirled around, the words tumbling out in a rush as he addressed the other prisoners. "We achieved it." However, his elation was fleeting. With a menacing groan, the door slammed shut, imprisoning him once again within his digital cell. Subscribe for more similar videos, enable notifications, and give a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.